What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Season 2.
Round 13 of Monster Energy Supercross, and it wasn't a motor?
Oh my goodness, we love it. The Philadephia fans showed out. The whole paddock was awesome. Amazing race, amazing track, but let's get into the juice right off the bat.
Dude, it looked cold.
It was really cold. That's not the juice, though. You know, like, this is something I want to talk about right off the rip out of the show, dude.
All right, let me hear it.
So last, 2 weeks ago,
Sure.
Seattle.
Yes.
Deegan and Beaumare slapping the shit out of each other after the race. Okay? They both get fined. Right, Anton? Both these guys get fined, what, $2,000?
Yep.
$1,000.
1,000? 1,000?
Yeah, 1,000.
Okay. So they both get fined. And then Peacock or whoever, whatever it is, uses them slapping each other for the intro of the show.
I didn't see that part.
Does that make any sense to you?
Yes. Because it creates drama. It creates hype. It creates intensity of this race, meaning more than just a race. It's a rivalry.
Yes. But, dude, how are you going to find these guys and then say, no, do not do that? You are getting charged this much because we don't want that in our sport.
Because AMA is a respectable racing organization that they say, we don't condone that.
Condone
that. We don't want our little amateur riders thinking this is okay. And then Feld's like, this is what sells tickets and puts people in the seats. We're showing it.
Okay, well, if you're gonna use that advertisement to then make more money,
yep.
Why are we charging these guys money to then not tell them not to do that?
Well, I don't have the answers to that, but I just know how the
why
world
is
works.
it not a slap on the wrist? Like, why wasn't that like a points penalty? That should have been some other type of penalty.
That would be. Oh, but dude, Adam, points would be so much worse, dude. Because then, if you think about like $1,000, $1,000 is like literal, like pocket money, especially for those two right now with like what they're doing.
Okay,
you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like $1,000 ain't much, but you get 5 points taken away or 3 points taken away, and you're coming into these East-West showdowns, and you lose 5 more points, and you might have just lost $250,000, $500,000, depending on how your championship bonus is. Like,
yep.
Yeah, you can't get $1,000 is chump change for what it could be. But
yes.
I do agree with you into that point that like,
well, no,
you gotta
I
find
don't
the
think
line of what's acceptable. Oh, sorry, Ty, go.
I think you guys might be on the track of if it's like a racing incident, then it's like racing points. But that was when the checkered flag was already crossed and they got in a little fiasco.
How are you going to charge somebody money to make money off of them? You're going to penalize these guys and charge them money, then make money and use it as the show opener and say, we don't want to condone this. This is not right, but we're going to show it at the intro because we want the drama.
Bro, I don't really see a problem with that, honestly. It is what it is. That's just
know.
That's just you. Bro, we're in the world of clicks. And if we know what gets clicks, and it's the type of shit like that, people fighting, people arguing because people want to watch it. They don't want to be the person that's slapping the other person, but they want to be the person that watches it. Because you don't want to feel left out. Be like, oh, you see where Deegan slapped Juju? Oh, no, I haven't seen that yet. Oh, let me see it. Oh, it's right here. Watch this. You better watch Philadephia. And then be like, oh, bro, that's exactly what happened 2 weeks ago. I can't wait until they're on the track. And then, we obviously know how they race. They didn't bring the hype.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's dude, it's bullshit. And it's making me even more mad, dude. It really is. Because it's like, dude, okay, so don't do it. Don't do it. But everything's super clickbait. Now, that's what it all is nowadays, bro. If you don't have the best clickbait, you don't have shit. And that's all they're doing. And then they're charging the riders a penalty, $1,000 a piece, to then not slap each other. Then they're using that to make more money.
Yeah.
How does that make any sense at all? Slap him on the wrist and tell him not to do it again.
The video editor knows why it makes sense. He's like, oh, I got to put that in there. I don't care if they get fined or not.
And this ain't
He's
me.
wishing he had the overlay to put Weston Pike slapping Vince.
Yeah.
If he could have done picture-on-picture or a ghost image, like a merge, they would have been like, yes, let's fucking
Yeah,
do it.
he's
But
like, dude, do we have audio for this?
Dude, but
Can we mic him up?
That's the thing, though, is I'm not even mad at Peacock and CNBC. I'm not mad at them. But why are we charging? Why are we agreeably charging these guys for what we all want?
Dude,
The thing,
that's
you
an
know
AMA
what
question.
the answer to the question is. And that
Yes.
you know that that's the answer to the whole question. Feld, which puts the races on and is in charge of how it looks, is one whole separate thing than the AMA. And the AMA is responsible for how everybody's supposed to behave as far as competitors go. And those are two very distinctly different groups that, yes, work together. But what the AMA decides on that thing is what they decide, and Feld's able to do what they want to do, no questions asked on this stuff. Because, I mean, this dates way back to the Tyler Evan days. Like, Tyler body slamming people's motorcycles and that kind of stuff. Like, they did the same thing where Speed was putting a clip out there, you know, but Tyler was still getting fined for it. And I think the bigger question is, like, why not just let them do it? Like, you can't be dropping the gloves and stuff like that. Like, yo, if you're going to fight, take your helmets off. Like, be real about it. But, like, it's okay for them to pop each other every now and then. I want to hear them talk smack.
I mean,
You know how
you
excited
gotta,
I was to be 5 feet away. You know
yeah.
how excited I was to be 5 feet away from that conversation when it was happening at Seattle and hearing every word as it was happening. I was like, this is the shit. This is awesome. You got to have that. But, like, I agree with you. What's an acceptable amount of it? You know?
It shouldn't be a fine towards the riders if
Bro,
you're
but-
going to then turn it around and use it to pump up the entire series.
dude, imagine, like, looking back, you just guys brought up a good point. Is like the Weston Pike Vince Freeze punch out video. Like, that thing was running on repeat for like 3 years.
Exactly. So Feld just
Doug,
made bank, or
Weston's
whoever
still
made
making money
bank.
off of it.
That's what I mean. Weston's still that guy.
Yes.
Weston's still that guy.
Menaced.
And, like, dude, with all the manufactured clickbait, the manufactured drama, like, and I was thinking about this the other day, and this is probably a terrible metaphor, but, dude, like, at what point are we gonna update? We're living a little in the Stone Age. Like, I'm cruising down the highway, okay, and the speed limit's 55, okay. If you date back, it was 55 in 1990 when I was born, okay. That truck would shake at 55.
Okay, where are you going with this?
My truck is barely moving at
Did you
55
get a speeding
miles an hour.
ticket?
No, I didn't. But it's barely moving at 55 miles an hour. These new vehicles can go faster, safer.
Okay.
Okay? The old rules don't necessarily apply in 2025. We got to move forward with the times. And if you're looking for the clickbait and you're looking for the manufactured drama 24/7 to pump up Supercross, which we all love, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but you can't find the riders, then flip it and use it as the intro and say, look at what we got. This is what you guys want. Look at this. We fined them for it and told them not to do it, but look. That's a little jacked up in my eyes.
Well, the people that can't drive 55 are the same people that are tuning in, watching Deegan slap Juju and want to watch the next race.
Exactly. So why are we finding Deegan and Juju $1,000 and telling them no for something that every single person wants to watch? And that's how we're going to attract more watchers and listeners to the show.
Well, that needs to be a conversation between Feld and AMA, and we have nothing to do with that conversation.
Actually, we do. We do have something to do with the conversation because if we don't talk about it, then
No, it's
it's going to go to the same thing, and it's just
Hey,
gonna
I'm not
keep
saying
going.
I'm not saying it's a great talking point, but I'm just saying, like, that's how it's always been. Always been. We
Bro.
just bring a light. We just bring
Bro,
light the effects
things-
of behind the curtain.
Hey, brother, things will be the
Yes,
exact
brother.
same for eternity if you don't bring him up and make a change.
Well,
That's all I'm saying.
Why don't you go talk to all the AMA officials and Ezra Lusk and be like, hey,
dude,
why
Ezra
did Deegan...
Lusk is not making that call. I think he's like a rider representative at the track for like jumps.
Maybe he can be a rider representative for
dude. Don't bring Yogi into this, bro.
Okay,
Yogi's the GOAT.
But you know all the AMA officials, bro. Why don't you say, hey, what up, dude? Why we find Deegan and Juju?
We're gonna set up a full conversation.
Why don't we?
I don't know.
You mean to call Mike Pelletier?
Yeah.
I got him on speed dial.
Call Mike
so
and call Dave
We can have a
Prater.
conversation with Mike about this.
Yep. Call Mike and
I'm sure
Dave
you
Prater.
can. For sure. I'm telling you for real. If you really wanted to have a conversation with Mike about how this would go, he would be down for that because Mike's been pretty cool on his side of the AMA to be more transparent. And he's a younger guy that kind of knows you need that part of things. But I think that he knows as part of his representative role as AMA Pro Racing, AMA Racing, an FIM delegate, all the things that he is, they got to let this go. I really think you guys have said it a couple times in this, and I think that that's really the question at hand that needs to be answered in all of racing. What is an acceptable form of profanity? What's an acceptable form, not consequence, but like aggression? You know,
like
you guys were racers. You know how that feels in the heat of the moment to go bar to bar. Your heart rate at 185 beats per minute. You riding a motorcycle 35 miles an hour. Yeah. And you're doing it with somebody right next to you that, hey, you trust them with your life that they're not going to try to hurt you, but also like, I'm going to kill you if I can to get this next spot. And then when you come off the track and you're ready to gun it for that guy and you got words to say for him, or you're ready to like drop the bikes and brawl, that's part of it. That's part of racing. And that's always been a part of racing in all forms of racing. Yeah. And like in Formula One right now, not that this is an F1 podcast, but they have all of their drivers mad because the drivers aren't allowed to cuss on the radios to their teams anymore because it, quote, doesn't look professional. If you're driving a race car at 250 miles an hour, the only thing that you can say when you're in the tunnel is like, yo, this thing effing won't handle. You got to say that and not fine the driver for it when you've been using the same radio communication and all of your Instagram stuff and all of your live TV hits to show Lewis Hamilton can't drive the Mercedes. Like, same thing in all these sports. Every racing thing needs to figure out like, hey man, if you're a racer, you know that competitive thing of like, you want to hurt somebody, you want to like get into it with somebody, not hurt them, but like you feel aggressive towards someone and it's okay because it's just a competitive thing to it. You don't mean anything by it after that.
Addy, where is like, that just brought up a good question that we can both answer is, where is like the line in the sand for you to put your hands on another rider of like them pissing you off so much?
The line in the sand is how much adrenaline do I have and how many times did it happen?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Like, I never got to that point because I was bigger and I didn't really mess with anybody, so nobody messed with me back. But I'm telling you right now, if I was in the fight with Deegan, I would have grabbed his helmet like Jet did, and I would have said, son, you better fucking step back or I'll pop the shit out of you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, AMA is just making it very clear, I think, is like, keep your hands to yourself, and there is no, like, that's not subjected. Like,
yeah, but
if you put hands on another rider, they're going to fine you, period.
Yeah, but you can do that without fining somebody. You can do that.
I think Jet and Jason even got a fine, and they just grabbed their helmets.
I think Jet and Jason was worse than Juju and Deegan. They barely touched each other. Yeah. I mean, Deegan like slapped him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like he was just like full
get out of here.
Yeah, get out of here. That was nothing.
Yeah.
Jet like grabbed him and was like shook him by the head, dude.
Yes.
Like that was way worse.
And then Jason fired back. Okay, so then that brings up another great point.
Why if somebody touches you, should you get fined for that? I'm not saying
retaliating.
That. Yes, retaliating. Thank you for that word.
Adam, you were God.
Thank you for that word. Retaliate.
Okay, on some of these things, like Ty, you brought up a great point. What is the difference between heat of the moment on the track, race beef, we're going at it for 5 laps, and personal, like, I've been going at it with this guy for years at the track. We know each other. We don't even park next to each other. If I see him at sign up, it's on site. Our friends don't even like each other. Like, if we could beat the shit out of each other in a Walmart parking lot, we would.
My mom will fight
There's
his
a difference
mom.
in that.
Yeah, that's like
100%.
Tomac and freaking
there
Barsha.
Is some of that.
Yeah.
Like, where is that part? And there's guys that have that kind of animosity. Not all the time, but there's definitely, like, I can think of a couple right now, but none that are like cutthroat. But I can think of in the last couple of years, a couple that have happened where I've seen those people at things together where it's just us together. And I'm like, holy shit, I can't believe these people are next to each other knowing how they feel about each other. And this is the most.
Hey, list your like relentless doer. I'll go first.
Cooper Kinney, dog, knowing everything you know about that and seeing them,
bro. Because
they don't race each other. I was thinking more like
but Cooper and Kenny, bro, they got because
what about like Eli Tomac and Justin Barsha, like Stefan Rincada and Travis Preston that 1 year, and then J-Law and Ryan Villapoto.
That was that was
you know what I'm saying, like James Stewart and Ricky for a little bit when they hated each other.
Yeah.
And then like the
Chad and James
absolutely hated each other.
Like hated.
Like cut off and like
just did not care.
I think Porcel and like Villapoto a little bit on 250s. I can kind of remember.
Porcel everybody.
Porcel everybody.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Jason Anderson and both the Lawrence brothers. How awesome was it when Jason Anderson said, what's the other one's name again? You remember that one? Yeah, he said that.
Hunter has it just as bad for him back.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Jason in the in the pro, the SMX media day said, I didn't even know he had a brother. Like, I don't know if he was joking or whatever, but like that beef is heavy.
Yeah.
Right? I love the pettiness. I love it.
It's awesome.
Because like that kind of stuff too, like, okay, the pop, like the little pop on the helmet, on the chin bar, that's funny. That is funny. And it does get the clicks. But when you hear Jason say something like that, and then you hear Hunter fire back in his little retaliation thing, that's your real glimpse of these guys' personality, on how they really feel about each other. That's hilarious. That is the shit that should be sold.
Jason Anderson and Cole Seeley when they were on lights bikes.
Oh, that. I mean, I don't know if that was beef. Cole Seeley just did not.
Yeah, but Cole Seeley was always like
every last lap or every second to last
lap. They would
lap,
always find each other and just
Jason got him.
Yes, but like Cole would try his hardest to like.
Yeah, but I don't know if I'd call that beef.
I would say maybe like an up and coming one is like Joe Shimoda and Deegan. I feel like they have like a little like.
No, you know what's an up and coming beef?
What?
Cole Davies and Danger Boy. That's gonna be the beef from freaking hell, dude.
No, I don't think so. You know why I can tell?
2 years?
I can tell you why. Because Deegan has got Cole Davies wrapped on outdoors.
Yeah, but dude, I'm sorry. In 2 years, they're not gonna be on the same team.
What do you mean? Yeah. Yeah, they are. Hayden's gonna be winning the 450 class and Cole's gonna be still lights.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just see that beef brewing unless they split those guys up. They're gonna have to.
I mean, Cole's only 17 points down from the championship right now.
Yeah. And trust me.
17 to 19 and the age thing is a big difference too.
Oh,
that is like exactly what you just said, Ty. Like to see Cole rookie year pulling this on, there's at least like, unless Hayden stays around for whatever reason longer than we would expect, like there really would be no time other than this summer maybe to really see them square up a couple more times to see what it could be. But like 5-7 years from now, this could be like, wow, can you believe that's the matchup that we're watching that we never expected?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well,
do we have, hold on before we move on, because this is a good segue into that segment. What do you guys think Star is looking like during the week? Do you think Hayden and Cole are just like
running it,
checked out from everybody else in the 250s? Or do you think like Michael is in there? Like, do we know if Michael's okay?
No, I mean, I think so.
I know Dexton like hit the ground hard. Daxton.
But Daxton is, I think he's jacked up.
Like,
You
I
know
want
who else is jacked up?
Ooh.
Shout out Gage Linville, bro. He's jacked.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Damn.
Fractured like lower back, ribs, super bad concussion in that practice crash.
After his podium, too, the
I
week
know.
after.
But anyways, yeah, I mean, the farm has got to be Davies and Deegan just running it.
Right?
Running it, dude. And, well, I don't know. I mean, you got to think Thrasher is fast at the track.
Comfortable?
Oh, yeah. You think Thrasher has probably got something to prove during the week? I don't know. Well, I mean, we can probably talk to somebody about that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll find out. But I want to segue. Go ahead.
Real quick, though, that's why I asked what I asked of Hayden and Cole in the press conference, because the last few minutes of that, when those two linked up, I figured that's probably what it does look like at the farm. Because when Cole's whoop speed was just so impressive, and then you could see when he got around Hayden then tried to match it. And then when Hayden went for that 3 into the corner, which got him on Seth, like you could tell that he had definitely caught the draft on how to get through the whoops fast and then hit it, sets up the pass. But those last few laps, I mean, he's catching Cole.
Oh, without a doubt.
Like a lot.
He's making moves. And I'm like, yo, that looks like another, like, how many times do you think that's been a moto at Star in similar shitty, heavy track conditions because it rained in Georgia, track speed up, rutted, and those two just link up, and the last 3-4 minutes is just, how fast can you go? How fast can you go? How fast can you go? And it goes that way. I bet that felt just like another Tuesday, Thursday down there.
Yeah, I guarantee you it did, but I think that goes back to the same thing that Deegan has over Levi. You know, Deegan talked about how Levi just fades towards the end of the moto, and he's like, yeah, I know I got his number at the end of the moto. And I think that's the same thing with Davies. I just think Davies isn't mature enough yet, like body-wise.
Yeah, to have that
stamina and strength that Deegan has right now. And so he's not going to have what Deegan has at the back half. Now, I do think that he will get it. Davies will get that strength, especially riding and doing the things that he's doing. He just doesn't have that yet.
Dude, I almost like, I don't know enough. I wish I did know enough about like body types and stuff like that. But like the more and more I'm around like gnarly, like endurance athletes, like motocross, like, dude, there's just some people
that have it, bro,
that can click it up,
bro. It's in
at the like the 15-20 minute mark or like the half an hour mark,
dude.
There's just like, and like we've trained with like plenty of those people.
Yes, it's DNA,
and like
bro.
I've even been able to do it to you on like some mountain bike climbs, like long distance climbing. Like I could just hold it.
Yeah, Ty. Like for instance, you know, we're so similar, but dude, I could beat Ty all day.
You could sprint
any kind of crank.
You could sprint your ass off.
Yes, any kind of crank or sprint, I had Ty completely covered. And then when it came to longer endurance stuff,
like it was just like a consistent
Ty
climb.
could be off for a month and a half and come back, and I'd be training my ass off on endurance, and Ty had me covered.
Hey, no lie. But it had to be like a steady climb that was just a consistent like push for like hour and a half. And Addy just literally just couldn't.
I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. But
that just reminds. It's just weird, bro, how people like can get through that stuff, or like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem as hard for them.
Yeah, I mean, 2 guys come to mind: Deegan, Brian Deegan, DNA, bro. Look at the fucking guy.
Yes.
He's like 100 and he's ripped. Okay,
he's 100.
He's not, but you know, like
body type wise, he's like a lean
Ken Roxon
guy. Yes,
bro. You know, I've been to the Habit with Ken Roxon, and he'll mow down a burger, a cheeseburger, and a set of fries, and it does not affect him.
No.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Ken Roxon is a madman in the gym. He's like, like how we obsess over video games and things like that. That's how he obsesses about his body. But like Ken Roxon, DNA, kind of got that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's just
naturally ripped.
Naturally ripped. He came out of the womb with a 6-pack. That's the way it was.
Yes.
It is what it is. All right, let's move on. We're gonna kind of stick with the AMA subject a little bit, but yeah, dude. This one's brought to you by Dirt Tricks. You can get 300 to 500 hours out of your Dirt Tricks sprocket. We love that. Right, Ty?
300 to 500.
American
possibly
made.
More.
What tariff?
What?
I don't know about a tariff.
Not for Dirt Tricks.
Not for Dirt Tricks. Yeah, dude, I don't know, bro. Like, this is one of those things that kind of makes me a little depressed.
Hmm.
Like, we've seen a lot of red flags this year, right?
I would say a lot more in the lights class.
Yes. So let's talk about this.
East Region Lights class.
And I think this
Yes.
is like really messed up. And I was like looking at it. You can't, if you have an East-West showdown that's that important,
Mm-hmm.
you can't do a full restart. You
I was thinking the same thing, bro.
You can't do it, dude. There's too much on the line, dude. Like, we love RJ Hampshire. RJ is one of the coolest guys in the pits. He's just an absolute nice guy, saint of a person.
Yep.
But dude, he got up and went to hole shot, and then you took Juju, that his hurting, obviously, went from third or top 5, and now he's like dead last. And then you took Vial, and you took him from a dead last start on the first start, and then put him up front.
Yes.
You know, like, you are literally playing with the future. And that is not, to me, that wasn't Supercross. Like, I know that's a rule, and we're living and we're learning, but that is a rule that has to change. It doesn't matter how many seconds you're into a main event. Like, you can restart the time, but you cannot restack these guys in a moment that's that important.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You have to stagger start them, because it also gives the guys that were in the back anyways, that had a bad start in the first one, a chance to reline up.
So would you reword the rule like the first 2 laps?
No, if you start, it doesn't matter if it's 1 second. If you start and you cross the finish line in a position, you have to do a staggered restart.
Yes, it has to be crossing the finish line. So would you reset the time or just start from where it started? Start where the red flag started.
Doesn't matter to me. I would say start from where it started, to be honest. Like, you just
it's super easy to figure out, right?
Yeah,
it's just like
continue.
Pause. Everybody line up in their position, what they cross the finish line in last, on the last lap as the last full lap.
Yes.
And then that's the lineup we're gonna do, and then you're gonna start.
If you cross that finish line, there's no more full restart. If you cross the finish, that's it. It don't even have to complete a lap. It doesn't have to do nothing. If you cross that finish line and everybody has a position, then it is a staggered restart, because you are playing with the future majorly. And there was so much on the line in that moment. And 2, you don't know what could change in those few seconds. You know what I mean? Like how did you had 2 minutes of like how the start developed. It could have got more dry. You could have pushed a little dirt differently. Like, you could have gave a guy a second chance on the start or whatever. You know, you could have done the thing that Cooper Webb did, where like the guy thought the rut was good, then instead jumped off to the left and went out of the rut the second time and got a really good jump. You know what I mean? Like, there's too much at play for you to do a full restart in a Supercross main event.
I'm trying to think of just like the scenarios I could give you where like a full restart like makes sense, but nothing after like 3 laps. Because did you hear that on the broadcast they were like a half a lap away from staggered restart?
Not even a half a lap. They were, because Daxton was down in that corner. They had the rhythm lane, the double, and the rollers.
And that was it.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And they would have had a staggered restart. You know, and like RJ Hampshire, fantastic main event. I don't want to take anything away from him. And he's super capitalized. He's now the co-points leader of the East Coast. But, you know, like, Mike, weigh in on this. Like, what's your thoughts on what we're talking about?
So there's so much to it. You know, I see where, Adam, like, you've driven in the point on the timing, you know, of how you do that. But then I see where other people are like, why are there so many red flags in the first place? You know, why now? Why of all of that? Like, why safety why this safety reason? Why that? But like a couple of them, they've had to do it. You know, I think that like it's crazy to see it in the same region and not to put a label on anybody. But would you be surprised if you looked at the entry list and found out that the Eastern region had more red flags than the Western region based on the names under it and knowing their racing histories and like how many times they stack it up? Like, it's just the odds, you know, when you see certain guys have a tendency to crash. So like that makes sense.
Yep.
You know, and I hate to say that, you know, but it's not wrong, because I would think that a lot of the guys that have caused the red flags have ridden that, you know, they're on the Eastern region. You know, you probably have the data to back that up if you looked at it deep enough.
Yeah.
But when you go back and do a full restart, it adds so many other elements, because then all of the bikes had, you know, they're not fresh. Everybody had to refire or refuel stuff, get all the stuff taken off. You know, you've done a start, you got to, the engine's heated up, all these things that you got to do.
Yep.
And then you as the racer got to refire and then send maybe 20 dudes, maybe 21, however many it is that didn't get carted off into the first turn again and make it through. And like, we all know how hectic that first turn is and how those things go.
Yeah.
And you know, this is just it's another instance though, like exactly what you guys both just said, that they were 3 sections away from going to a staggered start. How many times have we had a red flag restart where we've been like, is it a staggered start or is it complete? Is it a staggered start or is it complete? And they're always staggered starts because we had gotten past the threshold that we had never been under before. And now we're there and we're like, oh, so this is what it looks like when it looks like this. Oh shit, we don't like this either. We got to figure out a better way. As far as I remember, we haven't had that many where it's just like, everybody get back, we're doing it again.
I honestly, like, with that being said though, like, I do, as a rider and as a fan, I like how they throw the red flag as much as you need it.
Bro, it's so funny how much we think the same.
Like, dude, like,
I took those words out of your mouth. It's wild.
Bro, like, it's sketchy as hell when you're broken on the side of the track and you're getting worked on, and then there's like racers still going and jumping past you, and you literally sometimes can't even move.
Yeah, I'm an advocate to throw the red flag more, to be honest.
Yeah, like let's be kind of like NASCAR in a sense of just like, let's throw it, re-rack them, race.
Yes.
Clean the racetrack off.
Let's go, Ty. I knew I had you on the show for a reason, bro. Yeah, like, why not? Throw the red flag, get your $200, $500 million athlete as safely off the track as possible and re-rack them.
Yeah, just re-rack them.
What's the big deal? Put them in a staggered start, re-rack the boys, run it.
Pause the clock, re-rack them, do the little fucking 4-foot section with the tough block. Everybody go through this. All right, good to go. We're racing again.
100%.
And
go ahead.
You know what, though? You can tell that they are doing that. Like, you can tell that safety is definitely taking a priority because Dax was hurt. You know, Dax was in a pretty precarious spot. Dog, you saw how fast everybody came around for them to get the flags, the tough blocks, the Red Cross flags, the track workers out there to get everybody to stop that early when you got a bunch of young 19, 20, 25-year-old, 29-year-old guys out there going for it.
Extra nerves because of Showdown.
And you're bringing them around from the fastest part of the track where they had those bikes wide open down the start straight away. And setting up for that rhythm, and then you got to lock them up because one of your friends is hurt down there. But that was a live TV broadcast on NBC. That was the whole importance of the daytime program and everything. And they stopped everything to make sure that Dax got off. And you can tell that time crunch of getting the mobile unit over there, getting him off, getting everybody back in place, that ate into whatever very small window NBC had to let this thing go. And you can tell that although we give the TV broadcast shit because they miss a lot of stuff, like I'm rewatching the 450 main event now, and you don't see all of the tension and the drama between Chase and Cooper's. Are they close? Are they not close? Watch them get through traffic in the 450 main event or not. You just get locked in on other guys. They did a great job to get Chase's race winning interview in with Will under the buzzer. Like, although they might fuck up other stuff, they know how to do the job of like, this is the time period. All right, get it in.
Let's go. Add
the camera down. Do it. All right, get out. And now we got fucking an infomercial or Westminster Dog Show that's following up Supercross, whatever it is. They did a great job on that. And you can tell that was all parties working as one, race series, TV broadcast, track crew, medical, all of that going. We got to get our guy taken care of, and we got to hit this budget or not budget, but we got to hit this time budget of this is what we have. Get him back on the track, get the 450 race lined up, drop the gate, get the interview, get out.
I got to on that point, the broadcast was definitely very sharp this weekend. There was no complaints on my end, watching it live or anything like that.
Yeah.
Everybody had stories on all the riders, but I think that's just because it followed the script of, where we thought Supercross was going this weekend.
Yeah.
And bro, I thought it was going to be a mutter, and I was just thank baby Jesus that it wasn't, as it was actually a pretty decent track.
Yeah. I mean, it was it was a really good track.
Point.
Yep.
A thought that I had on the race. You know how they kind of made the track a little bit more simpler and mellowed?
In what way? Like the jumps?
Like the jumps,
Yeah.
kind of laid everything down.
Yeah.
I felt like it was a lot more racy because they did that.
Yeah, but I think it also was a lot more racy because they did that, but also because they had the ruts in between. Like it was also technical, but you didn't make the jumps too hard. So like you were able to have a lot of lines, and it was like super techy with all the ruts. And then you didn't make the jumps so hard that it was like make the jump. It was like
that was my point was like when you make these big ass threes or these triples right out of the corner, even Supercross triples.
Yeah.
Like there's only going to be a couple lines that it's doable from.
Yeah,
and
but I think
when
that's
you make
okay.
when you make obstacles where you can still make them from cutting down or railing around the corner.
Yeah.
Like you still have to make, like when you make those obstacles, the track's better because you can do the jumps from multiple lines.
Yes. But I think there is a time and place to have a super gnarly, like if the dirt's perfect and it's indoor, you can have some big triples. But like, for instance, with this one, this was one of those ones where it really needed to be laid down like you talked about because the corners and everything else was so soft. Like Tom Bial's crash, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Like that quad was super easy if it was flat. But because of the technical aspect of the ruts,
yeah, that track would have never worked at Anaheim.
Yeah.
It would have looked lame.
So we're talking about that. We're talking about the whole track crew. Anton, give us a little bit of information that you were talking to me about, like the storage and, the pits in Pittsburgh and, the Union.
Philly.
And, Philly. The dirt, the brought in, bringing in the dirt, the whole Union thing, the parking lot, the whole vibe. What do you got for us?
Okay, I'll hit that. Let me say one thing before we get on that. I thought the shorter lap time was also excellent too. Usually when you have like a 47, 48, whatever it is lap, they get like whatever. I thought that was like perfect track to have that because the guys came around enough times and you could see where everybody was and you could spot them. It was exciting enough that you could see everything. Short lap time dialed everything in, and I thought that was good. I also like the heavy track conditions. Just kind of naturally occurring. When they hype up super motocross, that's what I think that it should look like. Like that's what motocross looks like. I know that if I went to the practice track today, there would be water puddles on the side of the track and there'd be soft spots and stuff. And like that's the reality of motocross. But then to see the guys ride to the level that they rode at in the conditions, that one side of the track could be bone dry, like that big double was at the end zone. And the other side, the other end zone was a technical, heavy, wet, 3 rut, get through, fan the clutch, flat sweeper turn that was giving guys fits. That's how that should be. It should be a test of everybody's everything. It shouldn't just be like pavement concrete, the same conditions everywhere around the track. There needs to be some variance to it. And I thought that was pretty good about that. So then to get into how the track came to be in such great shape after all of the worry that we had leaving Foxborough, the dirt is stored under the highway overpass that runs right next to Lincoln Financial Field. So if you've ever watched that TV show, It's Always Sunny in Philadephia, where the intro clip ends with them driving by the stadium, the road that they drive down for that clip, the dirt is underneath that road, like just for reference.
What a trip.
So
that's awesome.
Like I didn't realize that until I went last year and I was like, oh dude, that's that. Oh my God. Like, there you go. So, really nice that from Foxborough to Philly was couple hour drive, 5-6 hours, I think,
Yep.
probably not much more than that. Knowing that they had to do what they had to do, that this wasn't the layout that they were going to have. There was supposed to be an over under bridge and some other stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Originally, the Dirtworks guys got all of the build done pretty quickly because they had dry dirt. It's under the bridge. There is no moisture that's hitting it. So even as they're bringing it in, they were watering it really, really heavily all through the week to give it some moisture because it needed to clump together. Otherwise, it was just dust, know? So like through the week, they got on top of it to do the watering. It rained like crazy on Friday. Like it was miserable there. Nobody wanted to do anything. You could tell that all the mechanics that had to still finish all of their rebuilds from Foxborough the week before and still do the cleanup of the trailers and all that stuff were just like, yo, get me out of here. Cause it was just pissing rain and like 40 degrees on Friday.
Yeah.
If you've seen pictures from the pit area, you saw those really cool like solar awnings that are over the parking lot that they parked everybody under. And in one aspect, those are tight because all of the rain just guttered off of everybody. All of the trucks stayed dry. You didn't have to worry about any of the torrential downpour that we had soaking the awnings and all of that at Foxborough. But then for the teams, you didn't have your tent structure to build from. You had that cover, but then you were just working outside from under your truck. Because it was cold weather, you had to figure out how you were going to keep heat on the bikes to keep the suspension and the engines at optimal temperature. So that was running them, that was keeping heaters on them, or electric blankets, or fork warmers,
let me
whatever.
Let me touch on that just for some people real quick.
Please do.
So just remember your thought. But so one of the big things that's going on with Supercross right now that I don't think a lot of people understand is that he's talking about keeping the suspension warm. And you're like, okay, well, the suspension should get warm pretty quickly. Like oil's oil. Well, the big thing, like what we're running in our bikes is an air spring 50-50 mix.
Hybrid.
Yeah, hybrid. So it's not so much you're heating up the oil. It's that the air is so cold outside that it was like, 30 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't keep the fork at a certain temperature, then the thing's going to pump up so much that the suspension will be way off. So we were running fork warmers, and a lot of the guys are running fork warmers because they're running that hybrid setup to keep the air hot enough in the fork to where the suspension guys can set a setting. They can go out, and it's not going to go up 6 pounds or 5 pounds or whatever that might be.
Yeah.
All right, keep going.
Or go lower because cold air
Yes.
Cold air sinks and shrinks. So you're going to have less, and then when it gets hot, it expands.
Yeah, so like you'll go out on the track, your fork will be super soft, and then 3 laps in, it's going to be like boing, 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 and that not good.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the same theory applies to tires. Trying to get heat in the rubber so the rubber feels like it has a certain dexterity to it and it fires right. Like fire is a MotoGP term, but that the tire has the consistency that you would expect it to have rather than it being cold because it's cold and then it takes a few laps to get that energy to heat up in the rubber. Okay, so then why they don't have the heat inside their tent structure that they did, like, say, at Foxborough the week before. We're in the Northeast, and so this will be, just always the joke of, like, the unions. I was told that the teams weren't able to put their tents up because it is union mandated that they would be the ones to put the tents up. Like, not the teams and the mechanics and the truck drivers putting the tent up like they do every other week. Just the rule of how the stadium works with a union team would have to come in and do that. And that's an instance at some other instances at other stadiums we go to. There's things that the union has to do. Like when you get there, if you're plugged into like an indoor pit area and you're going to plug into power rather than run your generator in your truck, a union rep has to do that. And obviously so, because you can't just have any truck driver plugging into like a couple 100 volts with an unregistered plug. Like that stuff makes sense. But it was just so interesting this weekend to, like, from an optics level, you look out over the pit and you're like, oh man, it's pissing down rain. This sucks. But at least those trucks are kept covered by these big solar panel awnings. That's cool. But then you find out the technical element that it does to the teams and what they have to work around. And then also when you hit the operational level of, like, well, how come the tents aren't up? Oh, because of the union. Okay, now everything makes sense. That's the funny shit that is so fun to be at the races and learn about.
Yeah. It is wild. Like the VIPs and even everybody at our team, it was a tough weekend for all of us because we had no heat, like nothing. We couldn't put any heat because we can't. What's a heater gonna do just outside? It heats up 5 feet and that's it. We usually have the tents to kind of insulate and kind of make like this little nook
area
of heat, and everybody was just outside in the cold, and everybody was just trying to get in the trucks, and it kind of made a little bit of a clusterfuck, so it was definitely a tough element for the weekend for everybody. You could tell everybody was freezing. The mechanics were working outside in the super cold. Everybody had as many heaters as they could get. I'm sure a lot of the teams had to buy more of those like jet heater things to try to get the heaters around the bike. We had blanket warmer heaters that were on the forks and the bikes and trying to keep them warm. So, yeah, I mean, definitely a tough element for the weekend.
Well, what's the weather looking like for East Rutherford?
70 degrees. Perfect.
Let's go, baby.
All week, too. It should be perfect.
All right.
All right, well, let's move on. Stan Benson Racing out in Bakersfield, bro. Need any ETS fuel, Pirelli tires?
Hell yeah. You know where you go?
Where?
Stan Benson Racing.
That's exactly where you go. See them at the track. Any of those tracks that you're racing up north, they will be there. They can hook you up with whatever you need. Go to Stan Benson Racing. Get it dialed in.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about the 450 start. I think that's a big topic.
Main event?
Yeah, main event, 450 start. We seen AP in the Whiskey Throttle deal after the race go up to Coop and apologize. And he also did that to Chase, but the one that's kind of popping off is the Whiskey Throttle one, and I get it. AP is like the nicest guy.
Yeah.
Super, super nice guy. And I get where Coop's coming from. Coop literally did not give a shit what AP had to say. Like, didn't even look at him when he was apologizing. And you could hear what he was saying. Like, sorry, bro. Like, I didn't mean to do that. I don't even know. I think I seen Coop's mouth acknowledge for like a millisecond, like him say it's all right or it's good, bro. But he didn't even look at him when he said it. And he said it like really softly. So I don't know if AP heard him or not. But yeah, I don't know. I thought that was an interesting altercation. Especially because AP was riding so good all day. What are your guys' thoughts on that situation? Do we even care? I mean, Coop's just a dog, right?
I mean,
yeah, that's just Coop. That's just Coop in the moment. Like, everybody knows before the race, don't look at him. And everybody knows in those the first 10 minutes after the race, don't bother him unless you need to bother him. He doesn't have anything to say unless he won.
Did you guys see, speaking of Coop, did you guys see Chase Sexton with the little pistol after the finish and turn around and go, pew?
We were talking about that earlier.
Why aren't we getting fined for that?
Dude, it's good.
I want more. I want the Ja Morant grenade throw. I want the long gun. I want it all. I want it all.
Dude, I'm just
he
saying.
Said the Ja Morant.
I'm just saying, bro, that's going to be the next thing.
Gonna pull out with some AKs, bro, like with a video. Oh, gosh.
That's going to be the next thing.
If he came out on the podium and dropped a Red Bull Shiesty, I'd love it. I would jump up and down next to the podium.
What's a Red Bull Shiesty?
We'll try to put up
Let's
a clip.
find out.
We'll try to put up a clip. But,
let's find out, he says.
But like,
I'm just saying everybody's getting fined and literally like, guns is like an absolute no-no in any sport celebration whatsoever.
Oh, really?
Yes, a big no-no.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's why we don't call them shootouts anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. We call them showdowns.
Yeah, and literally NFL banned any sort of weapon or any sort of gun celebration, automatic fine.
Wow, we're gonna get him in trouble.
NBA, any sort of gun gestures, anything, fined.
We're Supercross, bro. We do things differently.
Land of the rednecks.
Yeah, but just don't slap them.
Hey, yeah.
We can point at you.
Yeah, we can point at you with a little cap gun, but that's it.
But you can't barely slap you on the face after somebody grabs your helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I want to get to this AP thing. I want to hear Anton's thoughts on that, but yeah, we got to circle back to this. I mean, Anton, what's your thoughts on the whole AP situation with even like, do you even go over there to apologize to Coop if you're AP?
Yeah.
I don't know if
100%.
I would.
Bro, you wouldn't, but a guy that's trained with him at the goat farm, or not the goat farm.
Okay, you know what?
Alan
I want
Baker's.
to tell a little story. I want to tell a little story about Coop that I have.
Okay. Why don't you just do that from the rip?
I don't know. I don't know why I didn't. So, you know, like everybody talks about Coop and like he's a dog and he don't really give a shit about anybody. I really think that's a place that he just gets to when he's in championship mode. I really do. I think this is a different Coop than he actually is. Because I know this is weird, but when he went out to Castillo's one day, and I'll never forget it. I will never forget it.
Yeah, I remember the day.
Yep. He went out to Castillo's and he was riding out there.
Yep.
And I had helped prep the track. I think it was a couple star Yamaha guys, right?
Yeah, it was Cooper Webb, like a 250 guys. It was like some Swanepoel guys.
Yeah, some Swanepoel
and it
guys.
just rained or whatever.
Yeah, it just rained. And
this is him rookie 450, right?
Yeah, rookie 450. And you know, he didn't really know me. He knew me a little bit, I think. Maybe he's heard of me or whatever. But I came up to the house and Jim kind of asked me like, hey, you know, what's up with the track? Da 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 da. And I think I like prepped it and maybe like kind of fixed some things up. Or,
no, we paid for some whoops to get rebuilt. We paid for 2 sets of whoops to get rebuilt.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And they had come out like right after the rain. And all the guys were there. Swanee was there. And everybody just rode all day and just tore the fuck out of the track. You know what I mean? Like just tore it up.
No, we told them to go around the second set of whoops.
Yeah, but either way, they tore up the track.
Yeah.
They ripped it up. And fucking Coop, after the day was done, he came up to me and he handed me $200.
Yeah.
And was like, thanks, bro. And I was like, you know, I didn't ask for that. I wasn't like, hey, you know, can you guys like help out? No, nothing. You know, and Coop doesn't even know, like, I don't even think Coop knew that like I was prepping the track, whatever. He
definitely knew.
Okay, well, he knew, whatever you want to call it. But let's put it this way. Out of all of the years that all of these guys have showed up to the ranch,
yeah,
Coop is the only one that has ever kicked down like and been like, hey, bro, here's 200. Thanks, bro. Thanks for letting us ride.
I know. I mean, bro, we've also piggybacked off of Kenny.
We have.
Rebuilding tracks.
No, we have. But like, just for instance, to like,
yeah, he was definitely one of the only riders like that we didn't have to say, be like, hey, bro, can we have some gas money?
Like or whatever.
Yes.
Or like you, and we aren't the type of guys to ask for anything. You know what I mean? We know that like we're riding the track. We fucking use the shit out of the place. We've built the track. You know what? Have we built it 5 times?
Yes.
Had it rebuilt 5 times. We prep it all the time. We get the tractors out there. But it was just really interesting to me that Coop was one of the only guys out there that just walked up to me, didn't say anything, didn't ask him, handed me $200 and was like, thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Didn't have to do it.
Bro, that's what I tell everybody. Like, everybody wants to know, like, who's the biggest dickhead in Supercross, bro. All these guys are so cool outside the racing.
Yeah.
But at the races, bro, high stress environment, they're trying to make millions. It gets a little tight sometimes, okay?
And two, the point that I'm trying to make is I think, and I don't think it's an act for Coop, but I think the Coop that you're seeing is the Coop that he knows that he has to be to get the job done in this situation, and he turns into this guy.
Yes, 100%.
I think if you were at the beginning of the year and this AP Coop thing happened, Coop would have been like, oh, bro, it's all good. Don't even trip. You know what I mean? Like, he'd have acknowledged them, said what's up, blah, 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 blah. But I think Coop is just in the fuck everybody. I don't care who you are, especially since you're on an orange bike. Fuck you.
Well, and I think Coop knows that him getting second, Chase can win out and still win the championship. And I think that scares him.
Yeah, I think it does scare him.
Because did you guys hear the broadcast talking about how Cooper Webb knew that he couldn't get worse than 6th place because he saw Plessinger finish right behind him, and he knew Plessinger was right behind him, who was the leader. So that's why he sprinted the last lap, because he knew he couldn't get worse than 6th.
From Foxborough last week?
I didn't know that.
That's what
that makes total sense. No, I mean that's
why I sent it so hard on the last lap on Foxborough's, because I knew that 6 was the worst I could be, so that's why I just sent it and didn't worry about crashing or the bike blowing up in one lap, and you got 3rd.
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
Because so Adam, he lapped up to 6. Now I'm following.
Because Aaron Plessinger finished right behind him, and it's freaking the fire off the finish line roasted his neck, and he was like, all right, good. I'm going to hammer down this last lap.
Wow. Coop's a bad motherfucker, bro.
Pretty insane.
Yeah.
That guy's brain is working all the time.
Go ahead.
Ty, that is exactly what I wanted to say, because what he did, like how that clip is, and I hadn't seen it yet. I just went and looked at it on the Instagram while you guys were talking, and then to see all these people say the things that they're saying about Coop on like how he seems and all that stuff. I'm telling you, dude, I see him like that every race. That is not like, oh, this happened to me or this, and this. If anything, I think the reason that AP went over there to like, hey man, gotta talk to you is to explain like, hey, this is what happened in the first turn. Like, you think AP's happy after winning that heat race that his whole night just got shot after he's been a podium guy for these last few weeks, and he's got to go explain like, hey, this is why my night just went to shit. I didn't mean to do that. Yeah. Sorry about it. You're my boy. I just got to tell you. But I also know how you are, probably better than anybody as a racer. You're not going to say anything to me, but we'll talk later. So like, no stress on this. But fans don't know that of Cooper. So you just see, and that's not a bad thing. Like, you just haven't seen it. But he's notorious for being so locked in. And if you go listen to Mathis's recap podcast, JT and Weege both tell stories how he's been in the last 2 weeks about that exact same thing of like, when you see him come off the track, he needs a minute to himself. Dog, his wife doesn't talk to him. His mechanic talks to him a little bit. And the star guys, like the Yamaha guys, talk to him a little bit. And that's it. And then he goes and does his TV stuff. And then he comes down and then he started to unwind. And then by the time he gets to the truck, he's a little bit better. But like in those first 10 minutes after the race, do not bother him. You're not going to get anything from him. Just like, don't try to make eye contact with him 10 minutes before the gate drops, because he's got to get himself into that place to be heartless and do the shit that he's got to do out there.
Literally.
So Ty, what you just said about like to get himself to that, you know, man, it makes me really amazed how you guys channel that stuff. And even back to the red flag thing that we talked about from the 250 class, how do you regroup and process that? But Coop, of all people, as we're on the topic of him, man, all of these years to be at this point in his life and know what he has, and then just to fucking fire that up within yourself, unleash it, do it again, do it again, and know all of the pressure that's there. Man, you got to be a psycho. You got to be mentally tough as fuck to just put yourself through that and know the consequences that are out there, man. Like, to mentally and do it year after year after year after year. Like, that is wild.
Mike, I honestly don't think it's insane. It's just like, you develop this thing in motocross or racing Supercross, I think, like professionally, is like, you have to be personally in a mental space of like, you have to be so many people. Like, you know, you can't be that scared kid of jumping the triple.
I know.
You can't be
Ty, that's what I'm saying.
That like second guess guy. Like, It doesn't matter if
Ty, that's
you
what I
are
mean,
that
though.
person. You can't be that person or you won't survive. So you got to be a
But that's the
chameleon
problem.
and literally
Ty,
be
we
the
think that
person.
everybody else can't do that,
bro.
though.
What?
Ty, we just think that shit's
Ty,
normal, bro.
I know,
Ty,
but
then
I'm
the
just saying
question to
that's
that is,
literally everybody on the line is a chameleon. They literally have to be the
I know
person
that.
they need to be to make it through the night.
To survive.
but what I'm saying to Cooper's point is, though, he does it better than anybody else.
Yes.
Although they all have that and they know they have to do that, that motherfucker does it better than any of them does. And then turns it back off. And then turns it back on and then turns it back off. And how you do that over and over, like, trust me, there's 21 other dudes that are trying to figure out how they could channel that same intensity and block it all out and then come back to the same thing and put the pressure on somebody in the last 5 minutes of a race and make them crack and not give a shit when it, like, he's very good at that. I know what you're saying, that every one of those guys knows what you need to do to get to it. We all know what's there, but the ability to do it time and time and time again is remarkable.
Yes, it is. It's very remarkable. And we're going to really tell
But
what's going to happen in these next 4 rounds.
I mean, to kind of talk about what Anton was talking about just a little bit, I don't think he is turning it off. I really don't. I think Coop is getting deeper and deeper and deeper into that state every week. It seems like, the way I look at him, and I don't think that's going to shut off until that championship is won, and he'll get about 2 days, and then he's going to lock back in for outdoor.
Well, no, honestly, that just brought up a good point that I kind of forgot of, and what a lot of people don't realize, but people should understand, is like, when you win a championship, like a Supercross championship, or I would say especially a Supercross championship, it is so hard for that person or that rider to, like, relax for a week and then try to get locked back in and have that same amount of energy into outdoors.
Yeah, it's almost.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, you've seen it with Jet.
Like,
dude.
even like, just look at it. Jet won it last year, and Hangtown grenaded himself in round 2.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I know he did it the year. Did he win both championships the year prior?
I'm not sure.
I believe so.
I can't remember.
I believe so. But, like, anyways, it's really hard to do. Like, Cooper Webb, bro, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. He has not had the speed for Chase Outdoor. This is his championship right now.
Yeah, no, he doesn't.
This is his championship.
Is it bad
to
for
lose.
me?
What?
Is it bad for me on my flight today that I, like, had the thought for the first time of, like, yo, Coop, I don't ever think of Coop riding outdoors. Like, and that's not because, like, he dodges outdoors, but, like, circumstantially over his career, like, he just doesn't have as many outdoor motos. So exactly what you're saying, Ty, of, like, where does he go from here? Like, say he wins that title in Salt Lake City, and then him and Chase both have to, like, I was thinking it about Coop. His was my initial thought of, like, oh man, dog, we got to still see Coop do the summer. Like, how's the summer going to be for Cooper? I hadn't even thought about that. I've only been thinking about Supercross for Cooper. I've definitely been thinking about the outdoor nationals for Chase.
Yeah.
Because of, like, Jet, but I haven't been thinking that same thing for Cooper. But then for both of those guys, like, they both got to get ready to regroup because everybody's coming back for the summer.
So
Eli's going to be there.
Let me ask
Jet's going to be there.
Let me ask
Jorge's
you guys.
probably going to be there.
Yeah, let me ask you guys this then. So, I mean, I probably already know the answer to this, thinking about this in my head. But if you're Cooper Webb and Chase Sexton, and you're you know, Monday, Tuesday, and are you going outdoor testing? Or are you trying to find a new setting for Supercross?
Hell no. You are not riding anything else, and you are not taking any other risk than riding Supercross.
See, I think that's the wrong thing to do. I think you need to set yourself up and relieve some sort of stress off of Supercross and give your mind a break about Supercross and go ride some outdoor, go have fun, and let's get some new settings and test out some parts and just do something completely opposite of Supercross and not the week-to-week grind. Because, dude, riding Supercross track at this time of year, after you've done a fucking bajillion laps up to this point, that's the last thing you want to do is ride some hammered, beat down Supercross track that hasn't changed since September and you've been on it.
Yeah, but you and I both know that they're not just going out and busting out laps.
Bro, right now, coming up on Monday or Tuesday, if you're riding Supercross, they're just trying to get their motos done.
Yeah, but I don't even know if they're not doing full days. But either way, we're getting a little off topic now. We're getting on outdoors. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the whole outdoor thing is going to be tough, but we'll just have to wait and see. In my opinion, I know we're supposed to get off outdoors, but if I was Coop, I would do like 5 outdoors and then get ready for SMX.
Just take the whole summer off.
I think that's what it's going to turn into, especially because this SMX World Championship, these guys can't do all these races. They're not going to be able to do all these races.
They're not doing all the races. Half the field's hurt right now. Is going to come back for outdoor.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, for Coop, I would say win the championship, maybe do the first couple rounds, see where you're at, get some points, do round like 6 or 7 where you like it, do round 10 and 12, and then get ready for the SMX World Championship. That's what I would do. But, I mean, he can't do that right now. I'm sure he signed an outdoor deal too. But, yeah, let's move on.
You hate outdoors.
Yeah, I do. It's twice as much work for less pay. What do you want me to say? I mean, I am. What do you want to talk about? After you do Supercross, it's twice as much work for half the pay. What do you want to do?
Oh, nothing.
Am I wrong?
No.
No. And 2, as a privateer, your bike gets 10 times more roached.
Yes.
1 weekend of outdoor is like 5 Supercross rounds.
You still didn't like outdoor when you rode for Twisted Tea Suzuki.
I don't like it no matter what. It's twice as much work for half the pay. What do you want me to say? I don't know. Okay. Acerbis, big W, big L. I think we have to go. Can I go first?
Sure.
Big L, Tom Vial.
Okay.
This is my reasoning.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get past with 2 laps to go in the championship fight. You just cannot do it. Right?
Sure.
Yes or no?
No, you cannot. I mean, I was actually surprised on how Vial qualified with the whoop section and everything. So
he was fast.
Yeah, I was impressed with his speed.
Yep.
And I honestly thought with the start and everything he got, I thought he would be up there a little bit more, but I think he got dinged up.
He had the huge crash.
I know. I think he got dinged up in that crash. I think that's the only reason that he kind of faded back a little bit.
I will give you that.
You know.
But, dude, how are you going to last that whole time? I guess because you got dinged up.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Anton, what are your thoughts on that?
He better be doing some gnarly physical therapy this week.
Dude, that was as fast as you could go to as dead of a stop as you could have. You know, at least he was in the fluff and all that. But like 3 feet over, he'd have been in the straight slop of the hardwood. And that would have been terrible.
And just to add on top of that, if he felt remotely okay and had some fight in him, he would have got back on the track and not just turned around and went straight to the pits. He went straight to the pits.
I think he did. I think he had fight in him. I think that fucking shit scared the fuck out of him.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though, is like if he was like remotely still in like the headspace of like a heat race racing, he would have just got back on the track and wouldn't even thought about going back. But the thought of him going straight back and kind of shaking his wrist, I think he wanted he said, fuck this shit, I'm all muddy, and wanted to get cleaned up. And then he's like, I need to go check myself out and then get ready back for this LCQ.
Yeah. I mean, I guess now that I'm looking back on the whole situation, he did go to the LCQ and didn't even pass for the lead, right? Because Gavin Towers won. And
Vial was in second for a while, like a minute.
But that being said, he also knew that he was in, so did he need to make the pass? Not necessarily, but a fresh Tom Vial is probably making that pass.
Yes.
So why can't I remember who passed him with 2 laps to go?
Joe Shimoda.
Oh yeah, that's right. Shimoda.
Mhm.
Yep. Anton, what's your thoughts on the whole situation?
I think part of the reason maybe he didn't really get after it again in that heat race after crashing was how muddy he was. Like if you see him when he gets up, the handlebar, because the bike went into the slop that's all there, and so did his upper body of how dirty he went, and that's where all the wet, watery mud was. So he picked the bike up, and you can see that the controls are just roached. Imagine going to do the Supercross triple with roached grips, gloves, all that. Like you're not going to have the grip, and it was pretty important to have that because of how fast the guys were going. It wasn't the same as like, I just got to roll around in the slop like I did a week ago. So I think that like, there was nothing there. He's going to have to ride something that you don't want to ride in any condition to maybe get back to ninth, or hey, let me go dip and let me go have Pedro get a couple extra minutes to get my bike ready to go. Because I was out in the pits during the LCQs. And I walked by the KTM truck, and the bike wasn't there, and nobody had their TVs up again because of the rain. So I didn't know what was happening. And a couple minutes later, I walked back by the KTM truck. Tom's bike was back. Pedro is mechanic. Frankie that works at KTM that's always been there, and then Marvin and Tom's dad are all like doing whatever they can to get the bike ready from the LCQ for the main event. Like every minute counts, they needed every second, every hand. So for him to just pull off like that, it made sense. He knew he was probably going to be a top 4 guy. Like just go,
All right, let's move to my big dub.
Whoa.
Okay, sorry.
Whoa.
Go ahead.
My big L is Juju Beaumare. The motherfucker got, I don't know, what would you call it? Jacked from the red cross or the red flag.
Yeah, I mean,
my boy did not capitalize on the restart. And unfortunately,
is that, I mean, I guess it is his
unfortunately,
fault,
it could happen, it literally could happen to anybody.
Yep, happened to Max.
I mean, not really. Max still got second.
Yeah.
He didn't go,
though, bro. He was what, 12 seconds ahead?
Yeah, but still, he did not go first to 15th. Okay, I know Max is your boy, but not the same situation.
Yeah.
Okay. But
was Beaumare in first on the restart?
No, he was not in first, but he was,
I get what you're saying.
He was up
top
there.
5.
Yes.
In the fight.
Yes. And he unfortunately he didn't come back out. He didn't have a lot of fight. I don't know what happened to him and couldn't see him on the TV. And my boy was on the struggle bus.
He wasn't putting in the laps, bro. When it looked like to me that obviously Juju isn't the old Juju that we seen.
His shoulder's still hurting.
He thrives on more hard pack tracks.
Yeah.
Right? This was not that track. This was probably the polar opposite of what Juju loves to ride because he's a Cali boy.
Yep.
Right? So you had track conditions against him. Then you had the restart where, you get a good start. You're so relieved because it's a showdown. And then you go back and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do it again on a track that I hate. And it looked like when he got into that back slot, he couldn't do anything with the showdown because the guys were so fast. He didn't have the extra pizzazz that he normally does because he's hurt. And he didn't gel with the track as well as, he normally would on a hard pack track. Yeah. And it was hard to pass. That track was hard to pass on. Like, I mean hard. There was one good line around the track that was like the really fast line. And then there was a few spots where you could make up a little time. But for the most part, there was really just one solid line that you had to take. Because, like, after the finish, the whoops was pretty much jump, jump, jump. And then you could seat bounce to get that triple into the corner.
Not that I saw.
Okay.
The fast guys would skip,
go
triple,
to the outside.
and then triple.
Davies would go to the outside, but he was on another level. Most of the guys were going down the middle. Then you went right. You had to get over that tabletop to go 3 and then 3 again and single and jump in. If you did any other line, it was slower.
But then that line, but that right-hander, you could go inside was slower,
right,
and then
left,
and then the middle line was good.
The right-left was the place to pass.
And then coming down that straightaway, you had one rut out Cole Davies was the only rider that looked like he was taking that one from outside or one from inside rut, and that rut looked way better.
Yeah, but that's also where Deegan passed him in the heat.
Yeah, but anyways, and then as well, the double before the finish line or whatever, you could pass some people right there if they went outside. There was a couple passes done right there. And that's a whole track.
Bro.
I'm missing 2 corners that I saw passes didn't happen.
It was very one-lined, for sure. For sure. If you didn't get that left side on that rhythm, you lost so much time.
Move on.
Either way, Juju needed to do better, needed to get a start on the second red flag.
Yes.
Didn't get it. Okay. Are we moving on to big dubs, or are we, Anton, do you have a big L, or do you want to move on?
My big L was Juju as well. You guys hit all the technical parts, but to add insult to injury, after all of the hype up that we talk about of the pop and all that, really needed to back it up with some good results, and he tried. He did. Did you see the pass attempt that he went for on Hayden in the heat race in that turn?
Mm-mm.
I mean, I think I did. The one where he cut after the start straight, where he went
cut really close. Yeah, like cut real tight. Like
he didn't do no Hardy Munoz cut though.
No. Yeah, no.
No, he did not.
Did you see the Hardy Munoz cut on TV? That was epic. That's the kind of shit I need Juju to do on Deegan. Right?
Yes. 100%.
Okay. Keep going. Sorry, Anton.
But that's the L, is that like so many people were expecting that after Seattle, and then for whatever different reasons it was that we didn't get to see the matchup line up the way it did. Like now people are starting to say that about Juju, like, oh, see, where were you? Like this was really time to have it happen after the last couple weeks, and it didn't. So,
dude,
is it that big of a deal? Not really. But then when Hayden goes and says,
it's a big deal, bro.
It is a big deal. And then with Cole to get in there and the points and everything like that, like for every single reason, for all of the games, it sucks.
I mean, let's put it this way, dude. I knew when I saw that Lewis Phillips interview after Seattle, when he said, oh, yeah, they told us to squash it. I was like, that was his out. He ain't doing nothing. I knew it. And he didn't do anything again. And it wasn't the track to necessarily get super aggressive on this weekend.
Bro,
but like if you had the
Juju ain't forget that shit. If he has the opportunity to stuff Deegan, he's going to do it.
Is he? He's had so many?
I hope so.
He better.
Not really, because he hasn't been on the... When you're not on the same speed... I don't even know why
I'm saying that. I'm a Deegan fan anyways.
When you're not
I mean, I like Juju too.
Addy, but when you're not on the same speed as the guy you want to take out, it's kind of like, it's kind of a low blow. When you're battling with that guy...
low blow?
When you're battling with that guy...
I don't care. He's been low blowing you all season, bro.
Yeah, but Deegan's been kind of faster.
Deegan's been faster the whole time. When has Juju been faster?
One
time in Phoenix?
San Diego?
No, I don't think he was faster than Hayden.
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about big dubs. Okay. I'm going to give 2, and we'll just go with 1. Okay.
Sure.
So is the big dub going to be for me, even though I hated it, the day race? Or is the big dub going to be AP blowing by Coop in the heat and riding the best we've ever seen him ride? Who are we giving it to? Or I guess, what do we want to talk about?
Aaron Plessinger blowing by Cooper Webb, because he looked good. I was so excited for AP to get a good start in the main event, and Chase Sexton fucked it up.
Yeah, I mean, that's controversial.
Well, it looked like Chase Sexton didn't want anybody other than himself going around that first corner.
Which is what he's supposed to do anyway.
Exactly.
If I was Chase, I'd have done the same thing.
And that's a whole nother reason why we shouldn't have these tight U-turns as starts or as start first corners on a Supercross track. It is already proven, and Alex at Dirtworks already knows that when you have tight first corners, they are notorious for first turn watt ups, first turn crashes. They already have statistics on it. So why do we keep on doing it?
Probably because we had no option.
Make that shit wider or softer arc.
Prioritize. All right. Well, let's talk about the day race. I thought it went good. I hated getting up that early, but I didn't mind being done.
You're not a morning person.
I didn't. Well, this is my thing.
You're just not a morning person.
I'm not a morning person.
Okay.
I came from Cali, got in at midnight, didn't get to bed till 2 o'clock in the morning, just rolling over. Had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Ooh.
For the race.
Rough.
Had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning for the race.
Rough.
Not fun.
Yeah. And it's cold.
And it was freezing cold. So, but it did turn out, I thought the race turned out good. I thought the attendance for what it was good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it obviously wasn't the best, but the Philly fans are awesome. Security was insane. Not great.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were the Super Bowl champs for sure. Like the security were the Super Bowl champions too.
Oh, were
Oh
they?
yeah. Which I understand. You know what I mean? Security. I appreciate security. It's just it's tough when you know where you're supposed to be, and you know
You're like, bro, this is the 13th round I've been at.
yeah, but they don't know. They don't know. So that it is what it is. But I thought the day race went good. I think, you know, with the track, the way it was, being able to have the day race and it not getting colder and it was getting warmer throughout the day, I think that helped a lot. And I think it helps the riders to be able to get out of there sooner. What do you guys think?
It was definitely weird waking up in the morning in California and like turning on race day live and then being able to make my picks at like 12:30 and then watching the race at like, I think it was like 1.
Yeah. Did you like it? Did you not like it?
I did not like it because I wasn't settled in yet. I was like, you know.
You didn't have time to get prepared.
I was bass fishing at the time and I had it on my phone and then I rewatched it again that night. But it was nice because I rewatched it and the rewatch program came on at 5.
Oh, perfect.
So I was like, oh, bitching.
Yeah, sweet. Anton, what'd you think? You were there. We were there.
I like day race. That was tight. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. You know, I think that the way that it came out for yesterday of us being in the cold, like, dog, if that was 7 o'clock and the start time, there would have been nobody in those stands, you know, at all.
It'd have been
nobody
tough.
would have wanted to be there, but like to get out while it was okay, wasn't bad. And then I thought it was cool because, you know, you still got a day. Like, you still have a little bit of time. Like, I left the track, I think, like 8:30, 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then I had to drive back to New York City because my flight was out of LaGuardia. And, like, I was able to do all that and not be worried about, like, what was wrong. But then just to go through the day was fun. You know, you get through everything. Everybody's happy to get their stuff done. Everybody's, you know, done. Dude, nobody really, like, it's fun to be at the races at night sometimes, but 17 races leaving at 1 o'clock in the morning when you got a 6 a.m. flight gets a little old.
Yeah. I will say this.
So
this is one part that sucked for media. Like, now that I'm a media guy, dude, after the press conference, it was a ghost town.
Ghost town.
Bro, like, usually you can get something after. The only interview that I got was with RJ Hampshire because I walked back with him and got the interview. Everybody else, because it was, you know, a day race, shoo.
Hey,
like,
they were on a flight.
They were on a flight that night. Everybody was gone. Every rider was so gone by the time the press conference was over, which is 20 minutes after the end of the main event. They were gone.
Well, that's how I was at it.
So
you're telling me if you were a racer that you wouldn't have had a flight out that day?
Oh, I would have. 1,000%.
100%.
Yes, yep. All right. You guys want to do big dubs or did we cover that?
We covered that.
Cool. All right. In the trenches, California Coast Plumbing. Who's in the trench, boys?
My boy Juju is in the trench.
I have a few, though. Like, one of the guys that I think is in the trench right now is Seth Hammaker.
Why?
The reason that is because he had the win in the bag, right? I think in the first, before the red flag. He raced really well in the second race. But he hasn't been in this situation. And I really like Seth. Seth's a cool dude. But he hasn't been, knock on wood, this is like the first year I've seen Seth put anything together, and now he's just got the red plate. Like the trench that I'm talking about is like, dude, he's like the hurt-o-matic, and now he's just
This is like the zebra either keeps his stripes or loses his stripes.
I mean, whatever you want to call it. But
yeah, I don't see Seth Hammaker in the trench whatsoever. This motherfucker is on cloud 9, and he's just trying to manage his emotions, trying to win this championship. He is tied going into 3 rounds left or 2 rounds left in his series.
I mean, yep,
or
2 rounds left, right?
Right, yeah.
So we got East Rutherford, Denver.
But that's West, and then Salt Lake City.
No, Philadelphia.
No,
not Philadelphia. Pittsburgh.
And
Pittsburgh. Salt Lake
3.
City.
So we have 3 rounds left for him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then 2 rounds for the West Coasters.
Yes.
I don't know, dude. It's just, I feel like everything's happening perfect for Seth, and I want it to continue. But I also am walking on eggshells trying to make sure that nothing happens to him. You know?
Well, he's rewriting his history book right now on what Seth Hammaker can do.
Okay, so now he's got pressure on him, right? With RJ.
Yes.
Being tied.
Yes.
And RJ knows what's up.
Yes.
What does Seth have to do to stay calm enough to not wad up and do a Seth Hammaker?
Dude, I know a lot of people are not going to like this take, but he's got to believe in how he got here.
Yeah.
You gotta get good starts. You gotta race your own race. You can't worry about any other motherfucker on the start line. And it was, even on that second start, he rode his own race, and this is what I can do this night. Even Cooper Webb said it on his Instagram. He's like, I just wasn't the best guy tonight. I didn't have the speed. And that's okay. Unfortunately, it's just gonna really suck sometimes when it's gonna be the 3rd round. And you might not have the speed that night, and you just got to make sure you're not in that situation. And how you are not in that situation on the final round is making sure you do all the right things, you put in all the laps during the week, and you are ready when that gate is about to drop for that main event, because that's what really counts. The practice doesn't count, heat race doesn't count, practice laps don't count. At this point, you're just all freshening up, and you need to perform on that main event gate, and you need to make sure you are 100% locked in and you know what you're doing on that main event. And that doesn't change, from what you've been doing. You just have to recognize what worked and what didn't work, and then put it all together as a collective unit and say, this is my program.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with anything you just said. It's just that, this is a really tough segment. Because it's like, there is guys like, okay, let's name a couple that it's a hard talk about, right? Moseman, that's one of them. We talked about Faulkner already. That's one of them. Hymas, he's a little in the trench too. Shimoda's a little in the trench.
What do you mean? Are you collectively putting these guys in like the high injury prone category?
No, I'm collectively putting these guys in. Their potential is 10, and why are they not performing? Why are they not 10s? I mean, Faulkner, he's a 10. Is it the bike? It looks like he's not comfy on the Triumph.
Bro, I just told this to Pops this week, bro. He had open brain. Didn't he have open brain surgery this last year?
Yeah, but speak up. Give us something. Okay, Moseman. Now he's on the best bike you can get.
Yeah.
And he's still Mosemaning. What do you do?
You tell me, Adam. You have all the answers.
No, I don't. I definitely don't. You tell me. Anton, give us some hot take, Anton.
Doug, you boys do such a good job on getting the hot takes for each other. Fuck. Like, cause as you've said, how many times like you guys have finished each other's sentences through the day? Like you both can argue exactly what the other one's going to say, knowing what he means by it. You know what I like? That's such a good dynamic that you guys have.
I know it's just
Yeah,
Moseman
dog.
is just like, what do you do? He's so fast. He's so fast, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like what we were talking about earlier, like who could be really fast at the farm on any given day? You don't think Michael has put in a couple heaters where they're just like, wow, what the hell happened?
Yeah. Why
You
can't
know,
we
like,
do this
he's
on
top of the board.
Saturday? 100%.
And like, you know, for how much, hey, okay, Michael's a NorCal kid like you guys are. Have you been around Michael much? I'm sure you've been around Josh a lot.
I've been around
More Josh than Michael.
Yeah, I've been around both of them a little bit here and there, but not much.
Yeah, not as much as you'd think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So Michael is as interesting as you would be led to believe by like his interviews and like what you see on TV of him. Like his brain really is working that way. Like I've never met another racer that thinks like that kid does.
He's one of one for sure. He
is one of one, dog. One of one. And like super nice kid. And so like, and he's not stupid. Like he's not a stupid kid. And he's definitely had to weigh the pros and cons of racing. And then like the injuries that he's had, the physical injuries, the brain injuries, the concussions, all that stuff, you know, like he's not a dumb kid that's just like, I got to go race again. I got to go race again. I got to go race again.
Yep.
In fact, he said he retired how many different times in the last 3 years, you know? So I think now the other thing for Michael is like, you really need to find out what you want to do. You know, you're capable of it. We know you're capable of it. You can do it. Give it the chance that you need to give it again. Like that's the only thing you can ask of yourself when you're put in that position. Like, wouldn't you hate to live the rest of your life wondering if you gave it your all?
Yeah.
But when it's not going to work, you have to realize like when it's not, you know. And I think Michael still has like a lot of potential in him. But when I see the kid crash, he is one of them that I do definitely feel for a little bit more because I really, really like that whole family and I really like Michael. Like that is a nice kid. And I've hated to see some of the things that he's had happen to him because you can definitely tell that they change who he is. Like he comes away a different person from them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What I know about crashing a lot, because I've crashed a lot in my day. Okay.
Yeah.
And I have
Ty was
kind of the
first.
I've had the reputation of having no regard for my life when I'm riding a dirt bike. Oh yeah. No regard. Like I didn't give two shits if I lived or die a lot of the time. And it took me a while to figure out how to back out of like a human reaction of your brain saying yes and then your eyes saying no, you're not lined up. Okay. But I think that's true because I've thought about, you guys have no idea how many days I've sat on the couch with like a broken femur, broken tib fib, broken collarbone, broken wrist, and be like, dude, why the fuck didn't I just back out? Like, why did I go for it?
Why did I continue that when I could have just put the brakes on for a second?
Literally a split second would have been totally fine. And like, there's a couple mechanicals that had, those were just, those were just bad timing. But there was a lot of ones that were self-inflicted. Okay. And I'm not saying like everybody has self-inflicted, but a lot of these people, especially in the 250 class, have self-inflicted injuries.
Oh yeah.
And it usually becomes from literally a split second of you deciding, yes, I can make it, or a slight hesitation, and then you are not reacting to that slight hesitation in the correct way, good or bad.
Yeah.
Because when you are lined up with one of those ruts and there's a point where it's like, I'm going for it, and then you make it, and you're like, oh, all right. And then there's a time where you're like a little off, and then you still make it, but then there's that time where you're like, oh, I'll try this. And then
and you don't
and then you try it, and then you don't make it, and then it ends super badly.
Bro, In
And those
Supercross and
those
motocross,
moments,
that happens so fucking
those
much.
moments happen every lap. And dude, there's just some people that like what
RJ Hampshire.
you know, he's somehow freaking pulling it off. But
Did I take the word out of your mouth again?
I mean, not really. But anyways, but like one of them, like one of the big things is like being mentally there in the moment where you can make that conscious decision regardless of where you're at mentally as far as like fatigue, sharpness, you know, any sort of like that. Sweat in your eyes.
Yeah.
I've watered up with sweat in my eyes one time, just fucking, oh shit. You
Bro,
know?
it's crazy what mental fatigue makes you do.
Dude, like
you
and
do
like
some stupid
and it's
shit.
not even like you could be fit enough, but when I say mental fatigue, they did probably 17 laps. On lap like 15, you're like, dude, oh. And then you have a little lack of mental fatigue, and then you're like off a little bit, and you're like, I've made it, 10 times before. I'll be fine. And you're nope.
Yeah,
and then
it's
you're
like
done.
It's such a weird thing because it's like if you were sharp, you would have processed that differently. But because you're in this like state of rhythm, you're like just doing it over and over so many times that you kind of get so loose that you're just like, and you make that decision and you're like so relaxed because you're kind of tired and you're flowing and you just kind of go with it. Where like if you were sharp, you wouldn't have done that. But because you were in that rhythm and you were a little tired, you go with it.
Yes.
It's the weirdest fucking thing.
And in Supercross, going with the flow, sometimes can bite you because your front wheel, let's just say you get a lot of traction out of a corner and your front wheel misses the top of the lip and then you go endo.
Wow.
Literally instantly.
Yeah, I mean, that could have been what happened to Moseman. He was in the flow
Or Dax and Bennick.
Yeah, he was in the flow a little bit going into the whoops and he just let it creep. Like he just pinned it a little extra, let it creep out. Then he got a little too angled coming out of the corner, slid on the first one. Tire got loose. Backed out, popped back. See ya. That was that.
Yeah. And it happens way quicker than that.
Oh, yeah. Like,
yeah. And your decisions compound immensely.
right. Let's finish this up. Xbrand, does the zebra keep his stripes? I mean, I know who I want to talk about, but it's obvious. But anybody you guys want to hit?
Oh.
Damn.
Are we seeing new stripes from Joey Savatgy, my dude?
I don't know, bro. Last week was not good, but
yeah,
I guess
but this week he came out swinging.
5th?
Yeah, just straight ripping, top 5, best position all year long after that freaking horrific crash.
Dude.
Like, where has this been? Is this been good start, Joey Savatgy, or what?
Dude, well, that's the weird thing is
Or do you think he just saw his teammate get on the podium and was like, oh, fuck, I need to step it up?
That's 100% part of it. 1,000%. You better believe that's part of it. But dude, Joey's one of those guys that's really fast.
Dude.
Like really fast.
When he's feeling comfortable and he's on it, he's on it. He's top 5 all day. Can be. Yeah,
like I'm not, he could podium if he really wanted. In my eyes. Whenever I watch Joey ride, that dude amazes me what he does when he's on. But he's one of those guys where if he ain't on, he's just garbage. Did I make up that word? Is that a Pop's word, bro? Garbage, bro. Oh.
Yes.
Tell me that's not true, though.
I mean, he's definitely
Anton.
garbage.
Anton. Dude, speak on this, bro.
No, Joey's one of the guys that on any given day can put it in with any of the best in the world. Like, watch the World Supercross stuff from last year at any of the tracks they went to.
I know.
He's given Ken and Eli everything they can handle some nights. Been in the champion. Like, again, it's the World Supercross thing. It's the point format, whatever they have. But, like, Joey's been within shots of it a couple different times. And then when you watch him put together a heater lap, you're like, oh, wow. Like, he can do it. He can do it. But it's just getting to do it all the time. And he'll even tell you, like, that's the hard part for him, is how do you do it over and over and over again without it like having the momentum break? Because every time that he's been building, he does have something fuck up, and then he has to restart again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Like, I'd
That's-
like to see Joey keep that going because he needs it, especially at this point in his career.
He
like,
needs it, dude.
He's got a good spot. Like, he's got a good spot as to where he's at. Like, that team is dialed. The team's solid. He's got what he needs. That's a good bike. Is podium worthy. Even outside of a mud race, he's podium worthy. Especially this late in the season, as they just keep stuff going, and he goes and races World Supercross and does Aussie Supercross and just is a Supercross guy at 30-something years old and goes and sees the world and has fun. Like, isn't that what you want?
Yeah.
I'd like to see Joey keep this going.
I'd love to see Joey keep it going, but I mean, yeah, he's one of those guys that's way too up and down, and I don't really know how you fix that. Is that like the training program? Is that at home? Like, what are the insights that's going to give him? Because like Anton talked about, I really think that Quadlock Honda that Urive has given those boys, that's a really good bike.
Yes.
Like, if that thing can get it done.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're probably the only thing that they could the only thing they could benefit from is getting factory transmissions like what Ferrandis has.
Yeah.
And they might even have something close to it.
Mm-hmm.
But you can tell Ferrandis is doing a lot better. Like qualifying, Ferrandis was top 5 through qualifying a lot this weekend.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing for Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the bike is not the issue. And maybe that's something that those boys, that's why they're doing better. They're starting to believe more and more in the bike.
Mm-hmm.
And with Martin Davalos over there, Martin Davalos, that fool is like doesn't take no shit from no one.
No.
He's a very cut and dry dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he just says it how it is. It is what it is. And that's the type of guy that you want, as a team manager, because he's either one, going to tell you that you suck and the bike is good, and you can believe him because Martin Davalos was so fast. And yeah, he was the 250 heat race king, but he was fast. Or 2, he's going to be the one that was so good on a dirt bike where if he sees that dirt bike is wrong, he's going to fix it.
Yes.
And they've clearly done that.
100%.
So, yeah. I don't know. I mean, if I had to put $1 million on it, and I know you hate this, that I do this, I would say that Joey is still going to have an up and down, but I think we'll see another top 5 from him before the end of the season. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I would put that there.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
How many more top 5s do you think we see from Joey?
1.
That's it.
Yeah.
1.
Where do we see it at?
Pittsburgh.
Denver.
Okay. Yep. I mean, Denver, I was thinking Denver too, but just because he's smaller and I know that bike is good and it'll help him at that track with the altitude. But I haven't seen Pittsburgh. We haven't been to Pittsburgh, right?
Mm-mm.
So that'll be interesting to go there.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll help him out having
Maybe
nobody being there and
Mhm.
nobody has a setup and nobody has anything going on. But yeah. Anybody else? Zebra keep your stripes? Or are we just gonna call it a night?
That's it.
Dude.
What?
Last thing. Does Chase finish out the season on top?
If he does, he wins the championship, no matter what.
Okay, how about this? Let's ask this question. Can Chase physically, to both of you guys, can Chase win out? Is that something that he can do? Is that something that Webb will let happen? Is that even in the cards?
Okay, let me answer this question like this. He is 100% capable of doing it and has the speed to do it and has the bike to do it. Chase mentally keeping it together for that many rounds and being the fastest person every main event and being able to manage that, I don't think he could. But is he capable and does he have the bike to do it? Yes. But does his brain have the mental capacity to be locked in for 5 more main events without making one more mistake? I don't think so.
Yeah, that's why I commented on his Instagram.
What'd you say?
I said, let's see it, Chase. It's up to you now. That's what I commented on his Instagram after last week, and he came out and won. I mean, not that my comment says anything, but that's just exactly to your point. He's got the bike. He's got the speed. He's got the talent. But mentally, can he overcome the pressure of the last 5 rounds putting it together?
Mm-hmm. Because we're not talking about finishing the last 5 rounds. We're talking about he has to win the last 5 rounds.
Does he have to win or does he have to beat?
He has to, I mean, either way you want to put it.
Yeah, either way, he's got to beat Cooper Webb.
No, he's got to win.
He has to win.
He has to win.
He's got to score
because
at
he's
least
got
3 points more every time.
Oh, so if Coop gets second, he has to win out.
Yes. No, but he can't finish one.
He has to score a minimum of 3 points more than Cooper every race.
Yes. So that means he can't get second. Cooper Webb gets first or third.
Yeah. Okay. He could if at the next race Cooper got 6th and he got second. But
Yes.
on average, he cannot score worse than 4 points through the next 4 races. 3 points.
Yeah,
3 points
so his job, his goal list right now
is win.
Yeah, that's it. It's WIN.
Yep.
That's the only thing.
Yeah, there is no.
That's it.
And I think that like, not to get out of answering the question, but to answer your question with another question. Does the circumstances allow us to go 4 races, heads up, no bullshit to get in between them going 1-1? You know what I mean? Because let me tell you what, both of them are determined to go 1-1 and to get every win. Cooper is not eyeing these up like, okay, well, now I need to get in a points management situation and just let him win, and then I'll sit here and get second. No, that's not an option, dog. Like, none of that. You need to beat this dude every single time. But is fate going to allow us to see them go square up 4 more times?
Yeah, I think so.
No. I mean, to Anton's point, you know, there's too many variables and there's too many good guys, especially with AP the way he's riding right now.
I don't think so. Here's the problem though. Like, this is going to be like, I know we're going to get one of these main events where it's like the most uneventful main event ever is like Chase gets out front. Cooper Webb's going to get a mid-pack start and it's going to take him fucking 6 laps to get up to second. And then Cooper Webb's going to be in second and then Chase is going to be 10 seconds on the lead. And that's what they're going to finish like. Because Aaron Plessinger basically went down in the first corner, was dead last, and came all the way back up to what, 6th?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, 6th.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I think this is going to be
so
one
if they can just round the first corner and not go down and pass a few guys in the first straightaway, they're going to end up first or second.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, let me ask you this. As we've seen this year, and the big talking point after Aaron's win the other couple weeks ago, you know, how many different winners we've had this year. As we get into the home stretch, final 4 races, these 2 have clearly put a point that they are the fastest 2 above everybody else. Like, yeah, a couple of you guys can get main event wins. Yeah, a couple of you guys might rotate in and out of the podium. But this is our fight to have now. When do they get it the fuck out of the way? Like,
right now.
When do you like, hey, if I as far as that goes, like, if you don't have a race win, like, do guys like AP or Kenny or whoever, do you not go for a race win? Do you have to start racing these guys different? Like, when does that dynamic start happening that, you know, I can't keep taking points away from these 2 championship guys because this is not my fight?
Bro, I already thought AP was riding good because KTM had team tactics all like, bro, you need to step it the fuck up and get in between Chase and Cooper Webb. That's what I thought.
Oh, AP knows the assignment.
AP, I think, is probably
Jacob knows the same thing too.
One of the best or one of the only riders right now that could actually hold up Cooper Webb or beat Cooper Webb with the speed he has and Chase winning.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it this way for all you fans. Let's just lay this shit out, okay? You got Team Chase and you got Team Coop, okay? So you got AP, that is, they don't have to talk to him. AP knows the assignment. Get out front. If you're out front and Chase is behind you, let him catch up. He's going to go by. Stay in between him and Coop. That's number one. Number two, if Kenny can finish the series, Kenny don't need to talk to anybody. Kenny and Coop clearly don't get along.
Yes.
If Kenny can put himself in between Chase and Coop, if that can happen, he will do it. He is not Team Coop. Kenny knows what's up. If he can help out in any way.
Okay, move on.
Cooper Webb, he's got Justin Cooper.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. That's able to get in between. That's going to be 100% on his side. And I really believe Justin Cooper will do anything because I think Justin Cooper and Coop are homies. Don't be surprised if Justin Cooper gets real aggressive.
With Chase?
With Chase, I don't think he'll take him down, but he'll stuff him and slow him up and try to get a win for sure if there's the opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't think any of these guys that aren't in the championship would ever try to take out Cooper Chase. That's not what they're doing. But if they can get in between and ride aggressive and race the shit out of them where that guy will make the mistake, they'll do it.
Yo, you saying that story of how you feel about Coop just based off what he did as the track at Castillo that day. All of those guys all 20 other guys on the main event have a friendship. So like you lay out the Kenny thing, and although, Chase and Ken aren't friends, like he's got his favoritism there, who he wants to see do better. That's where all your friendship really comes into play. So go through the roster and think like, well, back to 11th, like, is Justin Starling like Chase Sexton more or Cooper Webb more? Like, who's going to move the fuck out of the way for the flag? Because, like, those little things are going to happen.
Hey, they're way going to happen.
Think about Mitchell. Dog, think about, like, how Mitchell Oldenburg and Benny Bloss are as far as friends for, like, Cooper versus Chase. They like both of them. They know what they got to do to get out of there. But, like, not saying that they're going to screw anybody up more one way than the other. But all 20 other dudes on the track,
yep,
they all definitely have someone that they'd rather see win that championship. They're not going to influence it in any other way, but they definitely have a thought. And how many friends do you have on the track against the other guy, and how many friends they have on the track?
Yep. And like I said, you're not going to see these things happen blatantly. It's going to be like, oh, homie just stayed in the line 1 second longer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not going to be these things that are like, oh, yeah. But if a privateer is a real homie, like straight up, when I saw Kenny, I got way the fuck out of the way. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Or I saw the homies, I really got out of the way. Like when I was riding Honda, if there was a Honda guy leading, I was way out of the way. If there wasn't, I was racing my race. And it's not like I was blocking them, but it's like, dude, I got to make a paycheck and try to pass these guys too. You know what I mean? That stuff is going to happen right now, starting now. Yes or no?
I mean, yes and no, because some riders are going to do that and some riders don't really give a fuck.
100%.
I didn't care fuck who was behind me. I was like, if I could race, I'm going to race. And obviously you caught me a whole lap so you can pass me. So pass me.
Straight up, dog.
What I'm saying, like,
you fast as shit. Get by me, dog.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, that's great. Cool. Well, that's Track Talkers. Round 13? Philadephia.
13, season 2.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much. Tell your friends, bro. Thank you. Like, subscribe, right?
Yeah, and share it.
Share it. Yep. Share it on your Instagram story. Share it on your TikTok. Share your favorite moments. We love you guys commenting. More comments, more we get pushed up in the algorithm. So keep it up. Thank you guys so much for all the shout outs. And we'll see you guys next time.
Sweet.
Peace.